Permanently installed microwaves do not meet the definition of cooking equipment as defined by the National Electrical Code. The NEC specifically identifies cooking equipment as ranges, wall-mounted ovens, and cooktops. Because a microwave does not fall into any of these categories, it cannot be included when applying the demand factor permitted by Section 220.32 ATWO of the NEC. Section 220.32 ATWO allows for a demand factor to be applied when calculating the service or feeder load for multiple cooking appliances. This demand factor acknowledges that not all cooking appliances will be operating at the maximum rated load simultaneously. It's important to understand that the NEC provides specific definitions for various types of electrical equipment, and these definitions are crucial for correctly applying the code requirements. A counter-mounted cooking unit, for example, is defined as what is commonly called a cooktop. The definition clarifies the intent of the code and ensures consistent application. Since a microwave is not a range, oven, or cooktop, it's treated differently in load calculations. Instead of applying 220.32 ATWO, permanently installed microwaves are considered appliances. This means they fall under the guidelines of Section 220.17 of the NEC, which deals with appliance load calculations in dwelling units. Section 220.17 provides the rules for calculating the load contributed by individual appliances. When calculating the load for an individual dwelling, you must include the microwave as an appliance according to 220.17. This section dictates how to determine the demand load for appliances, considering factors such as whether the appliance is likely to operate continuously. The key difference is that cooking equipment benefits from the demand factor in 220.32 ATWO, while appliances are calculated based on the specific rules outlined in 220.17. To accurately calculate the electrical load for a dwelling, it's essential to differentiate between cooking equipment and appliances. Understanding these distinctions ensures compliance with the NEC and prevents undersized or overloaded electrical systems. For example, if you have 4 ranges each rated at 12 kilowatts, you can apply a demand factor from table 220.55 to reduce the calculated load. However, you cannot include a microwave in this calculation. Instead, the microwave's load must be calculated separately under 220.17. This approach ensures that the service and feeder conductors are adequately sized to handle the expected load. In summary, the NEC distinguishes between cooking equipment and appliances. Cooking equipment, such as ranges, ovens, and cooktops, can benefit from the demand factor in 220.32 ATWO. Permanently installed microwaves, however, are classified as appliances and must be calculated according to 220.17. This distinction is vital for accurate electrical load calculations and compliance with the NEC. To elaborate further on Section 220.17, it's important to note that this section covers various types of appliances, not just microwaves. It addresses the load calculation for appliances in dwelling units, providing guidelines for determining the demand load based on the appliance's rating and usage characteristics. When applying 220.17 to microwave, you would typically use the appliance's nameplate rating in watts or voltamps. This rating represents the maximum power the microwave can draw. In some cases, the NEC may allow for a demand factor to be applied even to individual appliances, depending on the specific circumstances and the appliance's characteristics. However, this is separate from the demand factor available for cooking equipment under 220.32 ATWO. It is crucial to carefully review the requirements of 220.17 to determine the appropriate method for calculating the microwave's load. Another important aspect to consider is the definition of permanently installed. A permanently installed microwave is typically one that is built into the cabinetry or otherwise securely fastened in place. This is in contrast to a countertop microwave, which can be easily moved and plugged into any available outlet. The NEC requirements may differ slightly depending on whether the microwave is permanently installed or not. For example, a permanently installed microwave may require a dedicated circuit, while a countertop microwave may be allowed to share a circuit with other small appliances. Therefore, it's essential to determine whether the microwave is permanently installed before applying the relevant NEC requirements. To further clarify the application of 220.32 Atwa, it's helpful to consider the underlying principle behind demand factors. Demand factors are used to reduce the calculated load based on the assumption that not all loads will be operating at their maximum rating simultaneously. This is particularly true for cooking equipment, as it's unlikely that all ranges, ovens, and cooktops in a dwelling unit will be operating at their peak power at the same time. By applying a demand factor, the calculated load can be reduced, resulting in a smaller service or feeder size. However, demand factors should only be applied when specifically permitted by the NEC. In the case of cooking equipment, 220.32 Atwa provides the rules for applying a demand factor. But since microwaves are not considered cooking equipment under the NEC definition, they cannot be included in this calculation. Instead, their load must be calculated separately under 220.17 without the benefit of the demand factor in 220.32 Atwa. It's also important to note that the NEC is a minimum standard, and local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or amendments that must be followed. Therefore, it's always a good idea to consult with the local electrical inspector or authority having jurisdiction to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. In addition to 220.17 and 220.32, other sections of the NEC may also be relevant to microwave installations. For example, Section 210.23 addresses the permissible load on a 20-amp branch circuit. It states that the total rating of utilization equipment fastened in place, other than luminaires, shall not exceed 50% of the branch circuit ampere rating where lighting units, cord and plug connected utilization equipment not fastened in place, or both, are also supplied. Section 400.8 talks about uses not permitted for flexible cords and cables, and some of the conditions listed may apply to a microwave installation. Section 422 provides requirements for appliances, including installation, wiring, and overcurrent protection. Depending on the specific type of microwave and its installation, these sections may also need to be considered. To summarize, when calculating the electrical load for a dwelling unit with a permanently installed microwave, follow these steps. Firstly, determine if the microwave is considered permanently installed. Secondly, if it is, treat it as an appliance under NEC 220.17. Thirdly, obtain the microwave's nameplate rating in watts or volt amps. Fourthly, calculate the load based on the requirements of 220.17, taking into account any applicable demand factors. Fifthly, do not include the microwave when applying the demand factor for cooking equipment under 220.32 Atwa. Sixthly, consult with the local electrical inspector or authority having jurisdiction to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. By following these steps, you can ensure that the microwave is properly accounted for in the electrical load calculation, resulting in a safe and compliant installation. Furthermore, it's worth noting that the NEC is updated regularly, typically every 3 years. These updates may include changes to existing requirements or the addition of new requirements. Therefore, it's important to stay current with the latest edition of the NEC to ensure compliance. The NEC is published by the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. The NFPA website provides information about the NEC, including access to the latest edition and related resources. In addition to the NEC, there are other resources available that can help with electrical load calculations. These include textbooks, training courses, and online calculators. These resources can provide additional guidance and examples to help you understand and apply the NEC requirements correctly. It's also important to consider the overall design of the electrical system when installing a microwave. The electrical system should be designed to accommodate the expected load, with adequate capacity for future expansion. This includes selecting the appropriate size of service conductors, panel boards, and branch circuits. A well-designed electrical system will ensure that the microwave and other appliances can operate safely and reliably. In conclusion, while permanently installed microwaves are common in modern homes, it's crucial to understand how they are treated under the NEC. By recognizing that microwaves are classified as appliances and not cooking equipment, and by following the requirements of 220.17, you can ensure accurate electrical load calculations and compliance with the NEC. This knowledge is essential for electrical contractors, electricians, and anyone involved in the design or installation of electrical systems in dwelling units. Remember to always consult the latest edition of the NEC and to seek guidance from qualified professionals when needed.